We always want to highlight our sponsors and our amazing sponsors for Lemonade and Lemonade Quattro this year. A sponsor for this session is SecureSave. And SecureSave is just an amazing emergency savings account business. It's the first financial wellness product demonstrating ongoing employee savings behavior on a large scale. So if you're an HR manager out there, which we know that there are a lot, this is an emergency savings program, and it's an emergency savings company. We're gonna hear a lot more about it. We're gonna talk about it, and the amazing thing to us is that the co-founder of SecureSave is with us, the world-renowned Susie Orman. Thank you, Susie. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Susie. We're glad you're here.
I have to be crazy, only because I'm like, zest, lemon zest, a lemon bowl. All right, out of all the talks I've ever given, this is going to be a new one, but one truthfully that I'm excited to do. So I looked everywhere for a yellow jacket. And can you believe it? Susie Orman didn't have one. But anyway, let's go for it, my friends.
Well, thank you so much again for joining us. And the session that we've what we've talked about is what is the goal of money? And I mean that's a huge topic, right? I mean what is the goal of money? So let's start there, and we want to let everyone know that this is going to be an opportunity for the Lemonaders to interact with Susie and ask questions along the way. We definitely want to learn from the master. You are the money lady, so Susie, what's the goal of money?
You know, over all the years, and it's now 40 years, believe it or not, that I've been doing this, it's a lot of times people think, oh, the goal of money is to get a car, to buy a new house, to send your kids to school, whatever it may be. The true goal of money is for you to be secure. Secure, everybody. So the question then becomes, well, how do you become secure? And truthfully, you become secure when you know you have enough savings so that no matter what happens to you in life, you get in an accident, you have an illness, whatever it may be, you lose your job, that you are okay because you still have the money to pay your bills. You're not going to lose your home. You're not going to lose your car. So SecureSave, the company that I co-founded, is all about making sure that every single person in the United States of America, and hopefully one day worldwide, knows what it feels like to have a savings account. Do you know, you guys, that almost 75% of the people in the United States do not have $400 to their name in order to meet an emergency need? So through SecureSave, we are changing that with tens of thousands of employees. And that's why this is maybe one of the most important things I've ever done in my entire career.
Well, we're happy that you're here to talk to us about it. What role does an employer play with that? Because, you know, I mean, we have dozens and dozens and dozens of law firm employers that are on this call today. What can we say to them about what their responsibility is? Because, you know, a law firm and these employers, I mean, when we talk to them, you know, about benefits, or we talk to them about anything, it's like, oh, well, gosh, you know, it's my responsibility to do this now. What really is their responsibility in this?
Well, you have two responsibilities, honestly. First, believe it or not, the responsibility to your law firm to make sure that it's successful. And it's successful by making money and having very productive employees that are working for you. An employee cannot be productive if they are worrying about money. Now, they may look like they're working, they may look like they're really hardcore and whatever, but if they can't pay their bills, if they have credit card debt, if they're taking loans from their 401k plan, and all of you know that many of your employees not only take one, but if you allow it, they'll take two. When they are in that situation, they have inflation now. Real estate is through the roof. Everything is more expensive. And no matter how much money they're making, they feel like they don't have any money to save. Then they are not being productive. So we have learned over all these years that the role an employer can make in an employee's life by giving them the opportunity to automatically have an amount that the employee designates to be taken out of every paycheck, automatically be put into an emergency savings account for the employee that they can get at any time, that if they leave, they can take with them. If they die, they can name a beneficiary. Doesn't matter. It's their money. It's not in plan, so the employee knows they can get it. And not only does the employer offer it, but the employer also entices people to do it by doing what? Matching a part of their contribution. If they put $25 a paycheck, the employer can match $3 or $5. And I can tell you because I've been working with HR companies, employers for years now. I have never seen an adoption rate in any program that has ever been offered by an employer have the most successful adoption rate as an emergency savings account. Close to 60% of the employees that you offer this to will sign up for it within the first month. So what does that tell you? They need an emergency savings account. They want an emergency savings account, but they don't have what it takes to save on their own. Why? They just don't. They get money, they spend everything they get. But if they don't see it and it automatically comes out of their paycheck, now we start to turn spenders into savers. When we've done that, they become more productive as an employee. When they become more productive as an employee, your company becomes more productive. It's just that simple, truthfully.
I think it's also so important that as employers, we're always thinking about ways to help our employees personally do better, whatever that looks like for them. And being a differentiated employer, which Michael just talked about that in the session prior to this, being a destination employer, that was his presentation. I think one of the things that makes a law firm a destination employer is the variety of benefits that they're willing to invest in. Sometimes it's just provide, but it's also invest in. So maybe could you talk a little bit more about how SecureSave works? Or an emergency savings fund like SureSave, what happens? SecureSave, sorry, what happens? They elect a certain amount, the employer can contribute or not contribute. Is that how it works?
Yeah, every employer gets to sign up and make the plan however they want it to. We've had one employer with 50,000 employees and 35,000 signed up, I think, within the first week. They created it the way they wanted it to be. Smaller employers create it the way they want it to be. So SecureSave has made it possible that every single employer can absolutely make this how they want it. They can match the contribution. They don't have to match the contribution. But SecureSave has created the technology where we simply join into your payroll system, just that easy. An email goes out to every single employee simply saying, if you would like to do this, then just click here and designate how much per paycheck you would like to have taken out. That's all. And then immediately it goes into effect. The money goes from their paycheck directly into an account in the employee, FDIC insured. They can get it anytime they want. The difference is it's out of plan, everybody. I get all the plan stuff that you have to have. You have to offer an IRA or a Roth IRA, rather, a Roth 401k, whatever it is, depending on the size of the employer. But most of you are offering 401ks, 403bs, whatever it may be. And some of your employees are signing up for it, some are not. Many employees are afraid to contribute more to their retirement accounts in case something were to happen. So out of all the wellness programs that I've seen over all the years I've done this, the one wellness program that has more of an adoption rate, is the easiest for any HR department to deploy, is an emergency savings account. It's really just that easy. Every employee gets a little app. On the app, they get to follow how much money they have in there. If they want to take money out, they just simply push a button. It comes out to them. But what we have found is that once people start doing this, hardly any employee takes out money whatsoever. And in fact, they start to increase the amount that they put in after they've been doing it for, let's say, 3 or 4 months. Also, what happens after a year or so, you're going to find that they actually increase the amount of percentages that they're putting towards their retirement accounts that you are offering them. So it really works hand in hand.
That's interesting. I recently was told by one of our law firm clients that when employees are going through the annual review process and they're talking about, any increases in pay, they also have conversations with them about considerations for how you might use that pay increase. So maybe instead of you get a 4% increase, maybe 1% goes to your 401k and the rest ends up in your paycheck. But this seems like also a great way to encourage people as they're progressing through their role to really think differently about how they save and how they save for retirement, how they save for emergencies. Any thoughts on how they increase the amount that they save?
Here's the thing, which is so great. What you want to do when you're an employer, or even in your own life, everybody, you want to go and you want to be able to now think that you have what it takes to save. So many people think, oh, why should I ever bother to save? I can't pay my bills now. I'm never going to have enough money. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Everything's getting more expensive. And that, at least in their head, that's how they're feeling about it. And so therefore, they just don't do it. What's so fabulous about this program is that once an employee who has never been able to save money before sees how easy it is to save, they see all of a sudden that at the end of the year, they have $1,000 saved. Are you kidding me? All of a sudden, they have changed their psychology about how they feel about themselves and what they're capable of. You want to help an employee? Change how they think about what's possible for themselves in their lives. Rather than giving them money and doing these things, no. Provide them with a vehicle that automatically takes money from them. They get to choose how much. Maybe you give them a little match. It's up to you. Maybe you give them a reward. If they hit a reward at the end of the year by a certain amount of money, then you reward them, whatever it is. But when you see people going from being afraid to save to loving to save, where their psychology has changed about how they feel about who they are, it changes every part of their behavior at work, at home. And then all of a sudden they make more out of the raises that you do give them.
We're gonna get to some questions here. I know that are coming through on the chat, but before we do that, I've seen the app, and when you go into the app, there is and you're looking to make a withdrawal. Okay, you can see, obviously, you can see all of your information that, of the money that you have in there. When you get ready to make a withdrawal, it asks you questions, and it asks you why you're making this withdrawal. And there's categories, I believe. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And the cool thing, I think, is that each month the employer is able to see, not specifically from an employee, because that's just too much information and you can't get that. But there is a report that they're able to receive of, these have been the withdrawals, and these are the categories that people are taking it out, which I think from a benefits perspective, that's fantastic, because if people are taking out money for childcare, maybe you need to look at a different benefit, maybe for childcare, or offer something at your firm for that. Can you speak a little bit about what that app looks like?
Yeah, the app is, I have to tell you, I'm so proud of the app. And the app was created, a serious sum of money was specifically created just for this platform. It wasn't meant so that, oh, start putting money here and then Secure Save is going to offer you this and that. No, the whole goal of Secure Save and the app is to reinforce the concept of emergency savings. So it's not just, oh, how much do you want to take out? It's reminding them this was for emergency savings. So what is the emergency that you want to withdraw money for? They can answer or not. It's totally up to them. But what we have found is usually it's for a car expense. Their car broke down, something like that. Again, what's great about the app is the entire app from beginning to end is a reinforcement about emergency savings. This isn't just a savings account that you can access because you want to go on vacation or you want to buy something or whatever. No, this is an emergency savings account. So every word has been looked at by us like, and really nobody knows how to speak to people better than I do when it comes to their money. So it was a very easy thing to say, no, don't say it this way, say it that way. So in terms of obviously knowing what they're taking out money for gives you an idea, but want to hear what's interesting is that even though maybe they took out $136.56, it's always a specific amount for a bill. They don't stop contributing. It's not like, oh, I needed the money, I have to not put any more money in, because they can change it if they want. They continue to deposit into their emergency savings account. So they're understanding what it's for. So this app, unlike any other program out there, is really purposed for the employee to educate them and make it so they're understanding what this is for, and for the employer to be a partner in this. And what that does, by the way, is it kind of makes the employee want to stay with the employer. Oh, my employer is helping me save. Now they have an allegiance to the employer as well.
That's awesome. Chelsea, let's go to some questions.
One of the big questions that has come in a couple of times is, does this savings build interest?
So yes, the savings does has a small interest rate. However, really what people love is the match from the employer. In the same way, all of you that offer a 401k and hopefully a Roth 401k, because in my opinion, everybody, I don't care how much money they are making, they should only be doing a Roth. You might want to ask me about that. However, they love that there is an employer match, usually 6% up to the base pay. So they're used to that. So what the employee really loves is, like, they put in $25 a paycheck, the employer matches $3. They love that. But think about that. That's like what, a 10, 12% return on their money. They're not even concentrating on the interest. They're concentrating on that they're in this with the employer and they're watching their money grow far greater than the interest. Because if you really think about it, even if the interest was at 5%, interest rates are going down, by the way, everybody, 5% on $25, those amounts are so little, it's not enough to really incentivize them. What incentivizes them is the match from the employer.
Awesome. Chelsea?
Somebody wanted to follow up on that. Why just a Roth 401k?
Yeah, you know, all of you may or may not know, I have a podcast called Women in Money, and everybody's smart enough to listen, because I don't have a long time to explain it right now. If you go to that podcast and then go to the session, there's quite a few of them, but I think it was around April, Don't Be Partners with Uncle Sam. Oh, you will so get why a Roth is the only way to go. But basically, here's what you need to understand. When you put money in a retirement account, it starts to grow and grow and grow. What's interesting is that we're at the lowest tax brackets in the history of the United States right now. So when you go for a tax write-off right now, and now, great, you got a tax write-off right now, and the money that's in there is growing and compounding and compounding and compounding. You're compounding that money for Uncle Sam, so that when you have to take it out later on in life, and you have to, as well as your beneficiaries have to when you die, especially if it's a traditional, a pre-tax retirement account or IRA, you're actually partnering with Uncle Sam, and he gets more and more money as time goes on. If you just pay Uncle Sam right now, then what happens is the money grows and grows and grows, but it grows tax-free, and it's compounding for you. You go to take it out. You get to take it out tax-free. You die, your beneficiaries get to take it out tax-free. If you have understood what the inheritance laws are right now with inherited retirement accounts, and I just did a podcast on this 2 weeks ago, it will make your head spin. All the new rules according to Secure Act 2.0 that have been finalized. So if you want to make it easy on yourself, if you want to know what you see is what you get, if you want to invest in the known versus the unknown, what is the known? Your tax bracket today, we don't know what it's going to be later on. If you want to do it in a way that when I say what you see is what you get, if you have $300,000 in there, it's your money. If it's in a Roth, if it's not, you don't know what it's going to be. Also, when you take money out of a traditional retirement account, it counts against Social Security, and it counts against your Medicare B premiums. I could go on and on and on, but you get the idea, people. If you really want to make the most out of your money, a Roth retirement account is the only way to go, regardless of your income.
So along those lines, Scott asked, if possible with the plan, should they convert traditional contributions to Roth?
It would depend. It's hard for me to answer that because I don't know their individual circumstances right now. What I would do is I would change my new contributions to being the Roth contributions. The old contributions, if you are allowed to convert, then consult a CPA and decide how much a year should you convert, taking into consideration now you're not going to have that tax write-off. How much should you convert so you stay relatively into the same tax bracket? So that's how you would do it. And you want to know that you're young enough that obviously you can make that up. If you're in your retirement years or you're about to retire and you need the money from your retirement account, you need to take it out, then it probably doesn't make any sense to convert. But if you still have 15 years, 10 years or longer, oh, you bet I would be converting, but at a rate that made sense for you.
I think that's really great advice. And it leads me to, I don't know if there's more questions, but I do want to take advantage of asking you this question, Susie. Educating our employees and ourselves, quite honestly, like I'll just be honest. We have a 401k plan. We have a Roth IRA that is part of that, but I don't really understand how it all works. Educating our employees can be incredibly valuable. And sometimes we as employers struggle with that because we don't necessarily know. Yeah. So we can rely on the Susie Orman podcast. We can rely on GLJ for some of the work that you do, but like what is your advice if an employer says, the importance of money? What is the purpose of money? What is the goal of money? How do I help to start educating my team on what they need to be thinking about and what they need to know about related to money? What should they do?
Here's a sad story I have, and I find it sad because all the work that went into it. And I don't mind using names, and I'm sure they won't either. Gulfstream hired me, paid me millions of dollars to, number one, educate all their employees before it was mandatory on why they should go from a PPO to an HSA. That was easy, 100% did it. But then they wanted me to educate them on every question they could possibly have about every part of their finances. I did over 100 videos where this is the question, this is the answer. This is the question, this is what you need to know. Ask me how many of those videos were ever viewed. Zero. Zero. And that's when I started to learn you cannot educate people about money if they do not have money. You cannot educate them about these wellness programs and this and that when they feel like they don't have any. So it's interesting, when do people really go and use the programs that you have available? Who's using them? They love the match of your retirement accounts. They love the emergency savings accounts. But then it becomes interesting as to now what do we do? So a lot of the companies now are actually hiring me, or if they happen to be a customer of Secure Save, I just do it like I'm doing right now to educate the employees. So we just did this extraordinary webinar. It was 1 hour for a company that signed up for Secure Save. They asked every question. We answered every question. It was so fabulous. I can't even tell you. And if you do that every 6 months or whatever, they learn. Here's the other thing I just want to say. And I say this with the utmost of respect for all of you. A lot of times the employee doesn't quite trust what the employer or the HR person is saying, because sometimes they say to me, Susie, how do I know if it's for my benefit or if it's for their benefit? So sometimes when an outside source comes in, they believe it, especially if I'm saying something that they've never heard before, or whoever it is that you bring in. But they want a chance to be able to ask questions like right now. Like, what are your questions? What do you need to know? And when you hear the answers, like I just did this for the entire Telemundo group. Fabulous. I mean, now that's all they want to do. And so it's you've got to interact with them. But the employee has to know that you know what you're saying is true. And if you yourself don't know, they're going to feel that as well, Debbie, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I don't educate any of our team on money. I'm more like, what are the external resources that we could bring in to help with that? Because that is, whether we're talking about really any of our benefits, we often have the specialists for whatever kind of benefit it is. Even if I have a basic understanding of it, I don't want to be the one who explains it to them. Let the expert who can answer the questions. And maybe that's like a takeaway is, you have a lot of benefits. Most law firms have lots of benefits that they're offering, but not everyone even understands all of them.
And
so
it confuses them, by the way.
Right.
So
right.
what benefits do they need and do they want? And what benefits are you wasting money on? But I'm just going to do this again. The Women in Money podcast has over 600 episodes. The Susie Orman Show has over 600 episodes on Freevee TV with Amazon. No charge for any of those things. What's fascinating is that I now get emails from people that said, Susie, when I started listening, I had no money. I now have $1 million. I understand how a 401k, they understand it all. They have what it takes to understand it. So it's free. Just tell them to go there and start. And it's just something, it's not going to cost them anything. And for me, like, it's just something that I do because I love to do it so much.
Chelsea, let's make sure we include links to the podcast and the Amazon TV. Let's get the links from Susie.
Not
and her
Amazon
team
Prime, Amazon Freevee, because I don't believe in,
look at
I
that,
don't
even
believe
better.
in having to pay for something to see it.
It's the best. That's the best price ever. Free.
Love it. Chelsea?
Yes, we will absolutely get those links. And Susie's staff is being amazing in the chat, and they're posting all the links as well in there.
Oh, great.
We did have one question. Does this account stay with the employee should they leave their employer?
Oh, you betcha it does. That's the greatest thing about it. This is their money. They don't have to ask their employer if they want to take money out. They don't have to ask their employer if they leave and now they're no longer an employee. They get to take it with them wherever they go. Still in the account, it's their money. They do what they want with it. The other thing that we thought of that I don't think anybody else has is that this is an account that if the employee happened to die, there is a beneficiary designation as to who will get this money. We have thought of everything. And I'm just going to bring up one other thing that maybe as law firms, you understand, because maybe the cases come up against you, maybe hear some of this. Financial abuse is rampant, especially within the women's community, all women. 1 out of 4 women are financially abused. And if you don't know what that means, I can explain it to you. But it's where they can't have an account on their own. Their spouse or whoever it is controlling everything. And because they have no control over their money, they cannot leave. What's so fabulous about this is nobody knows they have it. Just saying. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
that's great.
So when we were talking a little bit yesterday during our tech check, Susie, I mentioned to you a question that of engagement with law firms, because we've been out talking to firms about this, right? And I know that the Lemonaders will want to know this because you know, when you get to the partner level. And you have to go in and convince a partner, hey, we're gonna, you know, we would like to put in this emergency savings account. As soon as I hear savings account, it's like, well, why do I have to do that, right? I mean, and that is such a hard question, and it's a big hill to climb for these administrators and for these, you know, for these HR directors. Help them to get over that hump. What is it that is part of this concept of emergency savings that is the, you know, it's the golden fleece that we can have them rub, that will get them to at least begin having that conversation, and it's meaningful?
It's very simple. It's that the more money you make, the more money you spend. You know, I remember when I was a waitress for 7 years till I was 30 years of age, making $5,000 a year. And I just thought, oh, if I made $8,000 a year, I would have it made in the shade. And then all of a sudden you're making $10,000 a month. And the more money you make, the more money you spend. The key to it is the less money you think you make, or the less money you see in your paycheck, then the less you spend, believe it or not. If it is not automated, there will always be something that comes up where people will have to use that money. Oh, I was going to put $25 in savings, but now we're at some toy store and my little, you know, kid is saying to me, please, mommy, or daddy, or whatever. And before you know it, you bought it. So if it is not automated, if it is not taken out of the paycheck before they get the money, then what will happen is it will never, ever be saved. And this isn't just about your employees. Employers, I have a question to ask you. How many of you partners, how many of you have an 8 to 12 month savings account that in case something happened to you and you couldn't work, you have 8 to 12 months of must pay expenses to pay your mortgage, to pay your car payment or lease payment. I hope you don't lease cars, but that's besides the point. How many of you actually have that? How many of you actually don't have any credit card debt at all? How many of you are fully funding your retirement accounts at work, as well as an IRA or a Roth IRA, if you can, outside of work? How many of you are actually doing that on your own? And be honest. When you have employees that are not making that much money, it is very difficult for them to even think about putting $50 or $100 a month away. It is almost impossible for them to imagine doing that. So don't forget the days before you started to make money, before you made partner. Remember back when you didn't have any money, when you were struggling, when maybe you came from a family where they couldn't even afford to give you money for lunch. And what it's like, possibly, that some of your employees are not just supporting themselves. They're supporting their mother, their sister, their grown-up kid that just got divorced and now they moved back in and eating them out of house and home. So don't forget what it's like when things happen in life.
Chelsea?
We did have one question that just came in from Christine when you were speaking about financial abuse. Wouldn't these withdrawals come out on their paycheck and be able to be seen by somebody who would?
Here's what's interesting about that is that normally what happens is you tear off the top of it and the paycheck by itself goes to the abuser. They don't care really the other part of it. They're not, remember, abusers aren't quite like you think they are. They just want the money to spend on themselves and they want it now. So I have stories, and you can listen to it on my podcast, where I interviewed 7 women who were survivors of financial abuse. They had to open up accounts in other, districts or whatever, so that nobody knew about. They would actually stitch money in their kids' pajamas. So when the day came that they knew they could leave, they would pick up their kid with all of the money and just go. So they don't care about the top of it. They really don't. They only care about, give me your paycheck. And they don't stand there and go, oh, look at this. What's all this for? They don't do that.
I think the point that you just brought up, and I feel like this comes up pretty regularly when we're working with our clients and we're talking about, I think about bonuses. The perception of money, what I think is expensive compared to what someone else thinks is expensive. It's so different. I will hear someone tell me that something's really expensive and I say, how much? And they say $25. And I think, that's not really, in my mind, that's not really expensive. But someone else might answer that same question and say, it's $10,000. And then I might say, $10,000, that's kind of expensive. And I think that sometimes the challenge in a law firm when we're talking about a savings account benefit like this, like the example is that someone could save $25 or $50, to a law firm partner might seem insignificant. Like, what, they're just like, that's really going to make a difference?
What do they need $25 for?
Exactly. And I think that our role in helping people understand that $25 a paycheck or $50 a paycheck can make your comment about it empowering people to see that they could save $1,000 over a year, being able to say, you might not be able to remember a time when you only had $1,000 and how amazing it was to have that. But it's how do you get grounded in your people's reality to understand that and be able to provide something like this that really is empowering to them?
Now, don't put your lifestyle and your accomplishments on them. We have somebody who works for us, and he likes baseball caps. All right. He works outside. I live in the Bahamas. It's hot, whatever. And I said, how much did you pay for that? And he said, $40. And I let him have it. I said, are you kidding me? Do you know what $40 compounded over time can be? So I have never forgotten what it was like not having any money. I have never forgotten living in my car on the streets for months in Berkeley, California, till I landed a job as a waitress for 7 years. I have never forgotten that. And because I have never forgotten that, when I speak to people, I speak to them with respect and understanding, and they never feel judged. So honor your employees for whatever situation they may be in, because they will not show it to you. You do not know, are the clothes that they're wearing, mortgaged to the department store that they got it from? Are they leasing a car? How much debt do they have? You don't know their true story behind their facade. You don't know.
Well, I can't believe that we're already up on time. I
know.
This
is great.
We could do this for hours. It's just fantastic. Susie, first of all, thank you for all the time. And please, we want to give you the last word on money. Help us and leave us with a great lemonade shot.
Yeah, so here's what all of you need to understand. Truthfully, and this applies to every single one of you, you cannot fix a financial problem with money. If something is going wrong with your money, then something is going wrong with you, because money cannot do anything without you. You are the one who earns it. You are the one who saves it, spends it, or invests it. So just remember, I told you that. So don't think that, if you just throw money at something, you'll solve the problem. You will not. You have to go within to see why you are doing without. Don't forget that.
Susan, thank you.
Thank you, Susie.
Thank you so much. And Lemonaders, I mean, what an amazing session. Thank you.